My stream took a little tantrum in the middle. That's why it took so long for me to finish setting up, but it should be working just fine now. I'll have to change the thumbnail later, so I hope no one would be confused. But yeah, anyways, let's go back to Taisho Alice. Yay! I cannot stop thinking about this game. It's a problem. Would you approve of Gretel's hypothetical killing spree? Right, I forgot I left the game here. I think I remember saying, like, I want to see just what would happen if I say yes, and then we'll do no. Yes. Sure I would. Yeah. I answered without hesitation. It'd be proof of just how much you loved me.
あれ、許してくれるんですか?
Babe.
なら、僕は今すぐにでも大量殺人鬼になりますけど。
Is this a bad ending actually, now that I'm thinking about it? That's not good. No, don't, I was joking! He started to rise from his chair, but I hastily stopped him.
なんだ、残念。
Babe. I wasn't sure exactly how sincere he was being, but he looked genuinely disappointed. And he took a graceful sip of his tea and looked at the wizard as if the whole conversation had never happened.
でも、少し疑問があるんですよね。
I was scared. I was like, is that a bad ending immediately? But you approve of Gretel's hypothetical murder spree? No. Not murder's generally where I draw the line, I'd say. Smiling, I shook my head.
ですよね。でも、少し疑問があるんですよね。
何ですか?
Bruh. We just started and you're already saying bruh. The wizard lowered the cup from his own lips and smiled.
僕たち兄弟の誰かが脅迫状を送ったとしたら、姉さんを脅かすような文面を書くとは思えない。というわけで、魔法使いさん、僕はあなたの存在を許しているわけではありません。もしかしたらあなたが犯人という可能性は否定できていないですしね。なので、今すぐ身の潔白を証明してください。
なぜ?
The wizard set his cup down on the table and leaned forward on his elbows.
あんたは知りすぎてるからだよ。
探偵ですから。
探偵だからって、僕たちのプライベートなことまで首を突っ込んでいいということにはならない。
But she asked him to.
身の潔白か。
I mean, Mr. Wizard didn't show up of his own accord. He came because Roshi asked him to. Doesn't that count as proof? He hadn't asked me for help, but I offered it nonetheless.
漁師さんと共謀しているという可能性もありますよね。
そう言われると否定はできないね。でも僕には何のメリットもない。僕とアリス嬢は探偵と依頼主という関係性以上のものはない。それに、アリス嬢が5人のうち誰かを選んだとしても、僕にとって何か都合のいいことはあります?
それは。
At this, Gretel faltered. The wizard had a point.
強いて言えば、この一連の事件が片付いてよかったということくらいでしょうか。
Gretel still didn't appear convinced, but at the same time he seemed to sense that there was no point in pressing further.
まあ、いいですよ。とりあえずのところはいろいろと嗅ぎ回っていただいて構いません。こちらも協力できることは協力しますので、また何か聞きたいことがあったら来てください。
He raised a hand and shooed us away.
ありがとうございます。協力者は多いほど事件解決につながりますから。
The wizard pressed a hand to his chest and bowed gracefully.
いえいえ、僕もちょうど新作の毒味役が欲しかったのでね。
I see. Interesting. Not to be outdone, Gretel donned a sardonic sneer. Now that we have spoken to all 5 brothers, the 2 of us returned to the living room. The wizard sat down on the sofa and fixed me with a meaningful smile.
これで全員に事情を聞けましたね。いやー、アリス嬢。どうやら君は、あの5人の兄弟にとても愛されているようですね。どうです？手っ取り早く誰か一人を選んでみては。そうすれば万事解決ですよ。
I could tell he was joking, but I didn't respond. Obviously, I knew the easiest solution would be to choose one of them. But I couldn't. Honestly, if it came to that, I would rather just die. Whoa, chill. Chill, girl, chill! Of course, dying wasn't my preferred option, which was why I had hired a detective in a last-ditch effort to find the culprit. Say, Mr. Wizard? Ignoring his question, I decided to ask one of my own.
何ですか？
Why did you ask them that stuff?
あんなこととは？
He kept digging into their past, prodding at their old wounds. It was something I had wondered this whole time as I stood there, listening to each interrogation. That said, I didn't feel like I had the right to criticize his work when I had no experience in the field myself, hence why I stayed quiet.
心の傷ですか？
The MC is still absolutely insane, I see. I don't think she can be cured, unfortunately. Besides Gretel, I feel like Yurika is the craziest one. So, yeah. She's unfortunately insane. Somehow it felt like he was being condescending, so I snapped back at him. Yes, their trauma. They may not show it, but they've gone through some rough stuff in the past. Stuff they wish they could forget.
ええ、そうでしょうね。
He nodded, and I felt satisfied in my rebuttal. Rebuttal? Feeling cocky, I kept going. So why dig it up at all? Wait, sorry. Let me just erase some stuff. Okay, there we go. So why dig it up at all? Is this going to help us find the culprit?
ええ、もちろん。
Really? For a second, this threw me off a loop. I thought I had the moral high ground, but it felt like he was suggesting I was being hysterical or something. I mean, it's Yurika. Of course she is.
僕は彼らの痛みを、苦しみを正しく知ることで、次の一手を打つための手段を講じているのです。
How does that work? It struck me as absurd.
つまり、相手を理解するということですね。
I don't follow. I mean, I'm the culprit's after. If you're going to do some digging, isn't it my past that matters?
君の過去ですか。では、一応
I
参
am
考まで。
curious.
君はどんな過去を持っていますか？
You're just gonna come right out and ask?
ええ。おかしいですか？
You know, I assumed you already knew everything, but I guess not, huh? I retorted sarcastically.
万能な人間なんてこの世に存在しません。
True that. I snickered.
僕が君について知っていることといえば、家族構成、現在置かれている環境、それと目的くらいなものです。
How does he know her personal goals? That's weird. That's a lot. I mean, what's left to investigate at that point? My lips curled in a defiant smirk. At this, the wizard rose to his feet and strode right over to me. And before I could react, he pointed at my chest. Okay.
君の心です。僕には、君が何を考えているのか、よくわからない。
Wait, I just realized, guys, I'm supposed to say I approve of Gretel's hypothetical killing spree. So I'm just gonna reload. Why would I approve it? Oh, right. Because in his route, because we have to answer according to what the guys want. So I would say, yeah, sure, I approve. That's insane. Sorry for thinking that I shouldn't approve. His calm smile had vanished without a trace. It felt like he was criticizing me, and my heart thumped in my chest. I don't want to sit back and let the culprit murder me. That's why I hired you, as a last-ditch effort. I don't have a dark past, nor do I have any trauma of my own. I'm not like them. I was blessed with a privileged life and a happy family.
そうですか。
Smirking, he took a half step backwards. Freed from his scrutiny, I looked around the room and caught sight of the clock. It was getting late. My, look at the time! Why don't you stay here for the night?
それは。どうもありがとうございます。
I dreamed of you again last night. Interesting. Suddenly, I found myself lost in a world of darkness. Ooh, Alice? No matter where I went, the scenery around me remained static and unchanging. It was like the darkness had consumed everything, all sense of direction, even the very concept of time itself. Were I to stand perfectly still and hold my breath, the only sound would be that of my own heartbeat. Just then, someone's voice rang through the black void. It felt like they were calling me, so I headed in the direction of the voice. There, what appeared before me was a giant looking glass. I parted the surface of the mirror with my finger, and it rippled like water. Yearning to travel to the other side, I reached out to the mirror. Then I walked through the glass and jumped down into the looking glass world. What? Whose voice is that? I don't recognize it. I did as instructed, and the darkness turned to light.
今君は自分がどこにいるかわかるかな?
In front of me was a middle-aged man wearing a lab coat and a fake smile. I chose not to answer his question. However, he misinterpreted my silence as hesitation.
安心していい。私は君の主治医で、君の味方だ。
I didn't ask, but okay.
いいかい？君の役割は、他のみんなを正しく導くことだ。それは他の誰にもできない。なぜなら、君の中にいる彼らは、君のように完璧じゃないからだ。
The ID? Others inside me? The ID? Am I correct?
君には辛いことがたくさんあった。随分悲しい思いをしただろう。でも、それはすべて過去のことだ。今君に害を与える人間はどこにもいない。君は強い人間だ。だから辛い過去を乗り越え、輝かしい未来を生きていけるだろう。そのためには、君以外の存在を消さなければならない。
It's not eradicate though. Like, I think one of the treatments, I don't know like the proper term for it, for DID is to make all the selves converge into one. I forgot what it's called. Not absorb, but like, because the alters are basically like fragments of themselves. So you have to make them all into one again. But it's not like they're erased. They just all become the same one person.
一つにまとまり、君は君の人生を歩むんだ。さあ、言ってごらん。君の名前は？君の名前は？
I couldn't satisfy his expectations. After all, Alice? Early that morning before dawn, I was in the kitchen, tying my apron strings and getting ready to make breakfast for the 7 of us. Yep, I played every SOS game except Another Wonderful Life, but I have the game. I see, so why didn't you play that one? Also, did you like Animal Parade? Is it good? I'm thinking of playing it sometime soon. Everyone was still asleep except for the wizard, who sat on the nearby sofa reading the newspaper. Did you get enough sleep last night? He looked up from his paper.
ええ、そりゃあもうぐっすりと。今の気分は実に爽やかです。
I didn't have time low. I see. Okay. Glad to hear it. Even I haven't played all of them. I flipped the French toast sizzling in my frying pan. Oh, that reminds me, Mr. Wizard.
はい。
If possible, I'd like you to stay here and continue your investigation until you find a culprit. Or until the next full moon, anyway. It's a good thing that we ended up meeting with a psychiatrist again in this round, bro. At least we have a psychiatrist. You know, in other rounds, we were left to fend off for ourselves, so...
それは構いませんが。
He looked a bit perplexed by my request. AP is pretty good for many people, but I kinda don't like it. Oh really? I've heard nothing but good things about Animal Parade. What do you not like about it?
これからのことを考えると少し憂鬱だ。
Oh? He let out a sigh and smiled awkwardly. What do you mean?
僕がここにいるとなったら彼らが怒るだろうから。
So easy, I guess. Oh, okay. So no challenge. I like grinding. I see. I might like Animal Parade then if there's no grinding. And right at that exact moment...
なんで朝っぱらからこいつがいるんだ。
This was the first thing out of Cinderella's mouth as he walked in.
やあやあ、今日もいい朝ですね。シンデレラさん。
The wizard set his paper on the table and waved cheerfully.
待て待て待て。何をくつろいでいるんだ。おいアリス、これはどういうことだ。
Cinderella stormed over to me and demanded an explanation as if he were owed one. Let's wait until everyone's awake before we have this conversation.
なんでだよ。
He furrowed his brow at me dubiously as I pressed the toast down with my spatula. Well, I don't want to have to repeat myself 4 more times now, do I? After breakfast, it was time to have a chat. Naturally, the topic was, what the fuck is the wizard doing here first thing in the morning? I told them I planned to have him stay until either he caught the culprit or the deadline rolled around.
納得いかねえ。赤の他人に調査されるのはまあいい。しょうがないと割り切ることもできる。でもな、なぜ住み込む必要があるんだ。
Cinderella slammed his hands on the table.
せやな。魔法使いさんにだって他の仕事もあるやろうし。
いえ、特にありませんが。
Bro is bored.
あなたは黙っていてください。
はいはい。
What does it matter? We have plenty of guest rooms. Besides, he's a detective. Isn't it smart to keep him close at hand in case of danger? It was my idea, so naturally I was in favor of it. However...
余計安心できませんよ。逆に姉さんが襲われるかもしれない。
Like you did in your round, bruh? No.
そうです。男は皆狼なんですよ。
Uh-huh.
せやな。P さんはめっちゃ魅力的やしな。
Every single one of them protested against the plan. As I expected, it was going to take a lot of work to convince them. That said, it felt like the conversation was taking a weird turn. Did they think there was something romantic between me and the wizard? Did you see yourself falling for the wizard? Well, this is the wizard shroud, so I'm assuming yes, maybe? Granted, he was a handsome guy, and his confidence was admittedly sexy. I glanced at him out of the corner of my eye.
何かな？
Nothing. Unfortunately, he caught me in the act. I quickly turned away. Honestly, what was I thinking? Shaking away the distraction, I took a deep breath. Mr. Wizard and I have a strictly professional relationship. I asked him to stay for that reason only. I don't know what you're all worried about, but there's nothing funny going on. I'm literally on his route. I have no idea what Yurika is talking about. This was my rebuttal to anyone who didn't approve of me spending time with the wizard. It's not enough that we already have so many boys around us. That's what I'm thinking. Like, we already have 5 engagement partners, and now we're just adding another dude to the list. After giving the 5 brothers a moment to exchange a glance, I looked at each of them in turn. Kaguya tilted his head with a stiff smile while Snow White and Cinderella nodded. You definitely will like Animal Parade since it has tons of rival events, even rival marriages and rival kids. That sounds like a long game. Alright, bet.
わかった。アリスが仕事だと認識してるなら、こいつがそばにいるのを認めてやる。
シンデレラ兄さん。
Cinderella is a good boy. Thank you. I cut in quickly before more arguing could start.
でも、学校はどうするんだ？
Right, that.
まさか、こいつに一日中ボディーガードさせようとか思ってるんじゃねえよな。
With a scowl, Cinderella jerked his thumb at the wizard. Thumb. Naturally, we all turned to look at him. Actually, yes?
だそうです。
We nodded as if we had planned it all along.
今の間はなんだよ！
I turned away and started whistling, pretending I hadn't heard the question.
いやー、僕としても他の方を出し抜いたみたいで大変心苦しいのですが、他ならぬアリス城の妖精なら仕方ないですね。
The way he's putting it is so condescending. No wonder they're pissed off. The wizard stood in front of me, shielding me from Cinderella.
アリス城、君の身は僕が守ります。
He turned back and shot me a wink. Cool, thanks.
姉さん、こんな男より僕の方がよっぽど役に立ちますよ。圧巻の1人や2人、ボコボコにのしてやりますよ。
And with Gretel's interjection, the conversation took a slightly different turn. However,
だけどグレーテル君、君も学校がありますよね。
学校なんてインフルエンザにかかったとでも言っておけば済む話です。
いやいや、グレーテル君、君は修学の身なのだから休んだらダメですよ。法律で定められている義務なのですから。
なら僕がついてこうか。僕だったらお店を休んでも。
いいえ、かぐやさんは看板ウェイターだということをしっかり自覚してください。あなたが急に休んだらがっかりする人が多いのでは？
そうなんかな。
なら、ここは私が。ボディーガードなら私が適任です。
赤ずきんさんは警察官でしょ？日々の治安を守る目は彼女だけでなくこの町全体に向けるべきでは？
not wrong.
それは。
しょうがねえ。ここは俺がボディーガードとして。
シンデレラさんは仕事ですよね。職人の世界は厳しいのでは？
One by one, the wizard shot all of them down. What about Snow, though? Snow White?
俺は家にいるよ。
He's so me for real.
ということは、ボディーガードとして適任なのは僕ということですね。
でもな。
No buts, mister. I shut him down, leaving no room for argument. Cinderella fell silent. Now then, isn't it about time you had it out? Don't forget to take your lunch. I gave him a little push.
おっとやべえ。親方にどやされる。
私もそろそろ署に向かわなくては。
おい、探偵！ とりあえずこの件は任せることにする。だけどな、アリスに手を出したら承知しないからな。
わかってますよ。
And so we all went our separate ways that day. Sorry about all the drama this morning. The two of us walked side by side in the direction of my college.
いえいえ。仲が良くて楽しそうで何よりですよ。
It made me happy to see him smile. Right? They have such a close bond with each other. I grinned proudly. However,
それなのに、君の存在が彼らの絆を乱してしまった？
in contrast with his gentle tone, his words were barbed.
恋という魔物は人を狂わす。どんなに聡明な人物でさえもね。ですが、悪いことだけではありません。恋は人を強くさせる。君の存在によって彼らは変わることができるかもしれない。一つだけ確かなのは、彼らにとって君の存在は救いであるということでしょう。
Okay, now you're exaggerating. I laughed.
そうでしょうか。昨晩話した通り、彼らは心に傷を負っている。
They'll make, Did I say something wrong?
彼らに必要なのは理解と深い愛情です。君は彼らを理解し、包み込んであげるだけの器を持っている。
Don't they need time too?
確かに心の傷を癒すのに時間は必要です。時間が経てば経つほど新たな思い出によって記憶が薄められていくこともあるでしょう。でもそれは遠いどこかへ記憶を置いていくことであり、その記憶を作った事実は消えはしない。それに誰にでも時間があるとは限らないですしね。
Because time is limited?
そうです。時間は進むものであり、戻るものではない。人はいつ死んでしまうかわからない。明日かもしれないし、明後日かもしれない。
Or the next full moon in my case.
ええ。だからこそ、それまでに犯人を見つけなければならない。
I snuck a peek at his face in profile. His handsome features were pointed not at me but straight ahead.
僕は君を殺させるつもりはない。
Well, yeah, you're a detective, right? I said, looking back at the road ahead. He was here purely to solve the case. And to that end, perhaps he was right to search our souls. Could I ask you something? What made you start your own detective agency?
なんででしょう。
Oh, well, I think my previous chat got randomly taken down, lol. Oh, did you send a link or something? I was saying I'm curious about how they'll make the boys accept Mr. Wizard into their life. It feels a lot like, hey kids, I brought home a new father for you guys. From the way you worded it.
なんというか、親和性が高かったのかもしれません。僕は基本的に何でも屋さんなんです。やれと言われればやるだけです。それこそ僕にとっては果たさなければならない使命と言えるでしょう。
Interesting. Your mission?
とても重要であり、それこそ私が生まれた意味を問うほどのものです。使命というよりは宿命と言った方が正しいかもしれません。
Destiny? At this, I thought back over my own life. Thus far, things had been pretty uneventful. But while those idyllic days were something I cherished, part of me mourned the fact that I passed through them without accomplishing much. This all changed once my 5 fiancés entered the picture, however. I think it's really great that you have something worth dedicating your whole life to.
そう言っていただければ、僕も頑張りがいがあるというものです。
Now that I was being blackmailed, my life had gotten even more hectic. Now I think they take down my chat because I said the word harem, but we've used the word harem a lot, haven't we? Of course, if I simply followed the letter's orders and chose someone to marry, this whole crisis could be averted. But was that really what I wanted? Was it right to simply keep chugging along the same track, letting someone else pull the switches as they saw fit? Would it lead me to a greater purpose? Whoa! Out of nowhere, I tripped over something and lost my balance.
大丈夫ですか？
Before I knew it, the wizard had pulled me into his arms. Uvu?
考え事に夢中になるのはいいですが、周囲にはちゃんと気を配った方がいいですよ。
Yeah, YouTube is weird. It does that. Right, sorry about that. I stammered hastily. I could feel his arm around my waist, and his handsome face was so close to mine. Anyone would have been flustered in my shoes. I could only imagine a smug grin on Cinderella's face if he found out I tripped on the way to college. I laughed to distract myself from the embarrassment.
違いない。
Smiling, the wizard slowly let go of me. Thanks. Look at us already flirting here. I really thought we would get a CG of that. That's like a very CG moment in otome games. So, what are you doing here?
いやー、ちょっとお聞きしたいことがありましてね。
At lunch, when I arrived at the courtyard, I found a visitor waiting for me at my usual spot. Wolfio? Not Wolfio, Wolfie? He wasn't even hiding. He was eating a sandwich right out in the open. Granted, acting casual was usually a good way to avoid looking suspicious, but in his case, it wasn't really working.
あれ魔法使いの旦那じゃないですか。なんでこんなところに。ってあれっすね。潜入捜査ってやつっすね。
Babe, please. My lunch buddy Wolfie took one look at the wizard and started babbling excitedly.
はは、本当に潜入捜査なら、今の狼くんの大声で失敗に終わってますよ。
You two know each other?
ええ、まあ。
そうっすよ。
Interesting.
ここに来たのは、狼くんと漁師くんに聞きたいことがあってね。
俺？ああ、もしかして例の件っすか？
そう。アリス城とつながっている君たちにも事情聴取をと。漁師くんが来る前に、まず君からだ。
はーい。
He raised his hand eagerly.
君はアリス城とどういう関係？
それはもちろん。
We're friends. Ah, poor baby. Best friends. I smiled brightly.
まだ何も言ってね
アリス城の友人ね。どこで知り合ったのかな？
もちろん学校ですよ。俺と同時期に転入してきた可愛い女の子がいるって聞いて、速攻でナンパして振られた。
私には好きな人がいるから。
そう言って断られた。でもってその後アリスちゃんがその好きな人と並んで歩いてるところを見て驚いたんすよね。だってそいつ俺の知り合いだったんだ。
それは誰？
あっちゃん。いや赤ずきん。
彼とはどういう関係？
幼なじみって言っても2ヶ月くらいしか一緒にいなかったけど。俺さ、ここの出身じゃないんだよね。昔体弱くてさ、療養も兼ねてばあちゃんがいるこの田舎町にしばらくの間住んでたことがあったんだ。
彼とはその時に知り合ったのかな？
さあ、あいつ平日の昼間だってのに湖のほとりに座り込んでてさ、気になって俺から声かけたんだ。
I feel like all of them really like the lake. I wonder if there's like a deeper meaning to it.
で、仲良くなったと思ったらいろいろあって、その後すぐに俺も元の町に戻らなくちゃいけなくなって。
離れ離れになった。
そうっすね。
それは何年前のこと？
6年前かな。確か2月か3月頃だったと思う。
ちなみに わざわざこの田舎町に戻ってきた理由はまさか療養のためじゃないよね。
まさか、あの頃とは違うよ。この通り、元気だし。ここに戻ってきたのは、あっちゃんとまた会いたかったからだよ。
That was your whole reason for moving back?
そうだよ。やっぱ、変すかね。
A little bit. I ship you guys though.
自分でもよくわかんねえけど、すっげえ気になったんだ。
気になった？
うん。あいつさ、俺と遊んでる時、たまにすごく苦しそうにするんだ。直前までは普通だったのに、時々、すごく不安そうな顔で俺のことを見て、何かあったのかと思って聞いてみると、いつもの顔で知らねえって言うし。俺も当時はそこまで気にしなかったけど。
5人の兄弟に関して、他に何か知っていることは？
さあ、一応全員知ってるけど、特別に仲いいってわけじゃないし、喋ったことないやつもいる。白雪とか。
彼は引きこもりだからね。
そうそう。だいたいあっちゃんにこんなにたくさん兄弟がいるなんて知らなかったし、実際に会った時は驚いたな。
He spoke wistfully with a goofy smile on his face.
基本的に俺はアリスちゃんと漁師さん以下の情報量だから役に立たないっすよ。俺はあくまでもサブキャラクターだからさ、主演を助けて演じる側なわけっすよ。
I really like him. But right as I was starting to think Wolfie had handled this pretty awesomely, the wizard dropped a bombshell.
そうですか。じゃあ最後に、君は犯人ですか？
Babes?
イエース俺が犯人です。
Okay, I guess. Naturally, Wolfie played along.
じゃあ、逮捕。
That's crazy. The wizard reached into God knows where and pulled out a pair of giant handcuffs large enough to fit over the sleeves of Wolfie's riding hood.
え、魔法使いさん？
連行します。アリス助手、通報を。
Yes, sir. I cheerfully saluted him.
ちょっと
At my betrayal, Wolfie dropped his jokester shtick and started pleading for his innocence. I love Wolfie. Feeling bad for the poor guy, I tapped the wizard on his shoulder, but...
どうしよっか。疑わしきは罰するとも言うし。
罰せずだから。
Wolfie was getting desperate.
何やってんだお前ら。
Just then, Ryoshi turned up, same as ever.
漁師先生、助けて！
I forgot he's actually a teacher here. Wolfie pleaded like he was begging for his life. But Ryoshi merely offered him a passing glance.
ああ、そいつだったらうるさいんで 2,3 日豚箱に放り込んどいても構わないぞ。
Harsh.
そんな漁師先生まで！
で、なんでここにお前がいるんだ？
Ryoshi ignored Wolfie's wails and turned to the wizard.
ちょっと聞きたいことがあってね。
Likewise, the wizard replied as if nothing was amiss.
お二人さ、お話進めるのでしたら、これ外してくれませんか？ねえ、外してくれませんか？
うるせえ。マジで無所に送るぞ。
はい。
Poor baby. Once Wolfie was shuffled off stage, it was Ryoshi's turn in the spotlight.
漁師くん、君の職業は？
あ？
Ryoshi frowned dubiously. Then he seemed to intuit the meaning behind the question.
漁師だ。
He answered with a stoic expression.
漁師とは何をする仕事ですか？
漁師は漁師。つまり、医者だ。漁師ってのは、名前を引っ掛けた。ただの言葉遊びだ。
Okay, the Japanese is very different, but I get it. So hunters equals doctor. That's all we need to know. Fun fact, his name even means hunter in Japanese.
ああ、そうだ。ちなみに俺は精神医学を専門としている。
Odd.
心を治療するんだ。
アリス城との関係は？
妹だ。一応血のつながったな。っていうか、今更だろ。
そうだけど、一応ね。なぜ妹さんと一緒に暮らさないんですか？
それは。
Yoshi faltered, then looked at me.
5人の兄弟に遠慮して？
そうだ。あいつらは、俺に好意的なのもいれば、敵意を持ってるのもいたり、複雑だからな。俺が離れた方がうまくいくと思ったんだよ。
一つ屋根の下に年若い男女が一緒に住むことに関して何か一言。
節度ある行動を、とでも言えばいいのか？
ずいぶん理解あるお兄さんだ。
At this, Yoshi visibly scowled.
ちなみに君は5人の兄弟に関してどこまで知ってる？
全部だ。全部知っている。あいつらの過去も、それぞれのプロフィールもな。
Profile.
さすが漁師くんだ。では、白雪さんについてはどうかな？先ほど、狼くんにも同じ質問をしたときに、彼は白雪さんだけはよく知らないと言ってたけど。
At the mention of Snow White, Yoshi quirked a brow.
まあ、そうだろうな。俺ももう何年も会ってないくらいだしな。
なぜ会わないんですか？
会わないというより、会えないんだよ。向こうが会うことを拒否してる。
引きこもりだから。
そうだ。初めて会った時は、今みたいな、引きこもりじゃなかったけどな。
白雪さんとは、どこでお知り合いに？
俺があいつと会ったのは、
Oh,
6
same 6
年前の春だ。夜の湖でぼーっと突っ立ってるところに、俺から声をかけた。
Yeah, so it's the same like 6 years ago, which means it's about the same time Red met with Wolfie. So my timeline so far is correct.
白雪さんといえば、お母様の死に際を目撃したそうですね。
ああ、そうだ。でも、あれはそんな生優しいもんじゃない。あいつは、母親の死体と一緒に暮らしてたんだよ。
Yeah.
あいつが引きこもったのはそのせいだ。
A heavy silence dominated the air. No one said a word, then finally Roshi asked.
で、犯人は見つかったのか？
いや、まだだね。一応彼女の婚約者である5人の兄弟からいろいろ話を聞いてみたわけですが。
The wizard glanced my way.
何か不審な点でもあったか？
怪しいといえば皆怪しい。怪しくないといえば皆怪しくない。といったところでしょうか。つまりは、何もわからないということです。
He shrugged with a smile.
まあ、そうだろうな。
Roshi let out a long sigh, then walked up to me and put his hand on my head.
せいぜい、殺されないよう頑張れ。
I'd like that. Yoshi, you jerk! On the way home, I thought back to my brother's attitude and raged quietly while the wizard laughed at me. This isn't funny, you know? I pouted my lips.
君のお兄さんも、君を心配していないわけではないですよ。
Yes, I know. We had spent our whole lives living separately, so we weren't exactly close, but I knew he was a caring person. After After all, he had been looking after the 5 brothers since way before I showed up. This reminded me of the question I'd been meaning to ask the wizard since this afternoon. So, pretty small world we live in, huh? I knew you and Roshi were acquainted, but Wolfie too? Nobody told me about this. I was, of course, indirectly complaining that he had kept this from me, aka his client.
そうですね。まるでこの世界には限られた人間しかいないみたいだ。
Interesting wording. He replied casually without batting a lash. Very interesting wording. It felt like he was being evasive on purpose, but I couldn't be sure.
でもこれで彼らの人間関係が見えてきましたね。狼くんと赤ずきんさん、漁師くんと白雪さんはそれぞれ因縁浅からぬ仲のようだ。
Yeah. I agree. I nodded along. Seems like Red and Snow White made friends with Wolfie and Ryoshi right around the same time too. Wolfie mentioned something around February or March, and Ryoshi said springtime.
6年前のお話だそうですね。
Is February/March springtime? I don't know.
彼らは同じように湖を眺めていたそうですが、一体何をしていたんでしょうか。
Beats me.
行ってみますか。
So okay, I guess why Snow White hadn't died, even though he basically lived eating nothing, it's because Wolfie, sorry, not Wolfie, Red would have eaten something. Because Red didn't have the aversion to eating, like Snow White does. So the body would get nourishment nonetheless. Right now? Frankly, now that we're almost home, I really didn't want to have to turn around and head back again. But once we arrived home, we'd have to give the brothers a status update. Going to the lake actually sounded like the least annoying option. You know, I never knew lakes had waves. I mused as I gazed out the rippling water. Until I moved here, that is. I always pictured lakes as these perfectly still mirrors. The surface glittered beneath the rays of the faint winter sun. Yet there was no reflection to be seen.
湖の波は水面が風に煽られてできたさざ波が遠くまで伝播して大きくなったものだそうですよ。
I think Snow White said the exact same thing. Not much difference from the ocean then. I thought back to the days before I lived here. Back then, whenever I saw the ocean, I longed to travel beyond the furthest reaches of the horizon.
ですが、湖は湖であって、海ではありません。海のように世界とつながって、遠い遠い国には行けません。
I stared at him blankly. Not only did it felt like he had read my mind, but on top of that, he disagreed. Sensing my gaze, he snickered.
と、彼らは思っていたのかもしれませんね。
What?
白雪さんと赤ずきんさんのことです。
Oh. They wanted to travel abroad?
はい。それが逃避なのか憧れなのか、それとも好奇心なのかは別として。
Good question. I looked back at the lake and thought of the brothers. If they were looking for an escape, then they must have really hated their lives here. Have you ever wanted to leave the country?
僕は思ったことはありません。
How come?
では、逆にお聞きしますが、今君はどこか遠い国に行きたいと思いますか？
Not right now.
それはなぜ？
Well... Before I could answer, he pressed the finger to my lips. Have you washed their hands?
僕と君の気持ちは同じですよ。まるで一つの心のようにね。
Is he also is he and Yurika the same person? I'm thinking too much into this, aren't I? I'm going insane. He moved away from me and walked toward the water.
そういえば、君が鏡の国にやってきたのはいつでしたっけ？
A year and a half ago? I answered, gazing at his back.
では、その時に彼らと出会ったんですね。
Yeah,
それまではどこに？
I lived in a different country.
君が鏡の国にやってきた理由は？
Well, I wanted to see him.
誰に？
I can't remember. I dreamed of you again last night. Now and then I would gaze into the mirror. Unlike the real world, the mirror world showed me everything, even the parts I didn't want to see. Okay, yeah, that's why like the altars can move around and have different separate bodies because it's in the mirror world, right? I am locking in my answer. I knew if I reached out, I could pass through to the other side. But the milk in the mirror looked revolting, so I wasn't motivated to try. In the mirror world, the same doctor called to me dozens of times. I figured out what he wanted, what he expected from me. But after I stubbornly refused to perform, he must have given up.
ダメだ。失敗だ。
And with that, he discarded me. He seemed angry with me for being a brat. After that, he paid me less and less attention until eventually he stopped coming by entirely. Gazing into the mirror, I thought about his comments. Effective. Botched. He wanted perfection. But what is perfection? To be visibly smarter, more sociable, more athletic, more dexterous than the average person? To play the role other people expect of you, in other words? In that case, I didn't need an identity of my own. Taking one step further, if no one needed me, then my entire existence was unnecessary. Out of nowhere, something seized me by the leg, threatening to pull me into its inky depths. I ran blindly through the dark. I knew the meaning of this darkness, and I knew if I let it consume me, I would cease to exist. It felt like someone was saying, if you won't behave, then I'll lock you in the looking-glass house. It reminded me of a time not that long ago when someone said something similar to me. I couldn't meet their expectations. And so, I was discarded and eradicated. Interesting. I don't know what that means, but interesting. Something jostled me awake. Where am I? The next thing I knew, I was in a bed, resting against someone's chest? My pulse was racing, and I was breathing so hard, it felt like I had just run a whole marathon. In order to get a grasp of the situation, I opened my eyes. Hello!
おはようございます。
Ohayo gozaimasu. Indeed! What is going on? Oh, that's cute. Feeling his breath against my bangs, I let out a shriek. And I slowly looked up to find a pair of amber eyes looking back at me. Nah, no way, this is crazy. We got a bed, CGA. Mr. Wizard? My heart pounded even faster. Was I still dreaming? Or was I really cuddled up in bed with the wizard? Suffice to say, it was a very romantic position to be in. But I had only met him a few days ago, and our relationship was strictly professional. I had no recollection of ever taking things to the next level, so to speak. Surely this has to be a dream then. But if this was the dream, then what about the other dream? Was that real life? As I writhed in confusion, the wizard regarded me calmly.
悪い夢でも見ましたか？顔が真っ青ですよ。
arm shifted slightly behind me as he reached up to stroke my hair. Smack his hand away? No, why would I? Actually, let me check who is the actual answer. Right, I have to say... No. His peaceful smile and soft touch gradually put me at ease. I felt like it was safe to trust him, just as I had the day we first met.
君は逃げないんだね。怖くないの。
Huh?
いいえ。何でもありません。
Interesting. Why would I be scared? A short while later, I was finally calm enough to ask him my burning question. So, what are you doing here, bro? At this, the wizard smiled brightly.
君が僕を離さなかったからですよ。
Actually? Oh, that's when I realized it was clinging to his shirt. I'm so sorry. Hastily, I let go.
別に謝る必要はありません。頼られるのは嫌いじゃありませんから。
Heat flashed through my body. Extrapolating from this conversation, he must have been stuck here the whole time I was asleep. For that matter, I couldn't even remember when we got back. And yet here I was in my bed and in my PJs too. At the rate we were headed, we might come under fire for some unscrupulous behavior. Yet somehow he didn't look panicked in the least. I felt so pathetic, getting flustered when he clearly wasn't. It infuriated me, even though it wasn't his fault. Despite having only just let go, I grabbed his shirt again. He showed no signs of resisting. Instead, he continued to look at me, his expression unchanged. Then I realized something. He wasn't wearing his jacket. I was. It was unmistakably a kind gesture on his part. I kept getting these little glimpses of his personality that I didn't quite understand. And possibly because of that, I had a dream. A dream where I was about to be killed. Next thing I knew, I was telling him about my dream. Hearing the tension in my voice, his smile faded. In the dream, I was desperately trying to run away from something. It was pitch black and I couldn't see. It was terrifying. Then something grabbed my leg and I fell. Darkness crawled up my body, engulfing me. Then my mind started to fade and I started to forget, almost like I was being erased.
それは怖かったですね。
Yeah. Is she also an alter?
きっと、あんな脅迫状を受け取ったからでしょう。誰か呼んできましょう。その方が落ち着きますよ。誰がいいですか？
He gently took me by the arm and sat me upright. I want you. Wow, girl, ayo. The second I realized he was going to leave, I automatically stopped him. The wizard paused for a moment.
そんなに誰か一人を選ぶのが嫌ですか？わかりました。君が望む通り、君のそばにいますよ。
With a self-deprecating smile, he got back in bed. Thank you. I felt so relieved. And the fact that I felt this way made me hate myself. Here I was, sharing a bed with someone else, pouring my heart out to him, all behind my fiance's backs. No way we're doing a cheating speed run. Felt like I was cheating on the man who loved me. Anyway, as I was saying, I always thought I wasn't afraid to die.
なぜ？
I don't know. I'm not suicidal. My life isn't miserable, and I'm not spiritually enlightened or anything like that. But I've always been the kind of girl who would do anything to achieve her goals, so maybe I'm just prepared to die for my mission. What was it you said again? A mission so important, it gives your entire life purpose, your destiny. And yet, when I was about to disappear, I resisted.
志半ばで殺されて悔いが残る
Maybe, yeah. Maybe I felt sorry for myself. You think maybe deep down I'm afraid of death? From there, the wizard explained that I had passed out at the lake. Naturally, my fiancés were all very worried, and they had been taking turns checking on me. Part of me wished they had told me sooner, but I was the one who stopped him and changed the subject, so it wasn't really his fault. When I walked into the living room, the 5 brothers all called for me at once.
姉さん、起きて大丈夫なんですか？
In a blink, I was surrounded on all sides and peppered with questions about my current condition. I'm okay now. Thanks for looking out for me. I smiled reassuringly at each one of them in turn. Then, once they were sure it was all right, their attention turned to the wizard.
おい、あんたこいつに変なことしてねえだろうな。
変なことって
それは、その。
寝ている姉さんを組み敷いて、タイツを脱がせるという大義名分のもと、スカートの中に遠慮なく手を突っ込んだりすることですよ
That's what you did in your round! That's crazy. They're making Gretel as like an absolute butt of the joke, and I love it. Yes, bully Gretel more!
落ち着けグレーテル
Ah, Red!
ほら見ろ赤ずきんが倒れたじゃねえか
僕はあなたみたいにむやみやたらにがっついたりしませんよ
So he knows. Interesting. Interesting answer. I was somewhat stunned to find them all carrying on like usual. Not that I wanted them to be at each other's throats, mind you, but I did feel a little silly for getting so worried. As I stood there watching their shenanigans, Kaguya whispered in my ear.
あんな、みんなあれでもひーさんのこと気使うとるんやで。ほんまは昨日のこと、ひーさんや魔法使いさんに問いただしたいんやけど、そうするとひーさんが困るやろ。
Aw, Kaguya. Oh, I see. My mood quickly plummeted. They were all a lot more responsible and caring than I had given them credit for.
ひーさん疲れてる？まだ横になっていた方がええんちゃう？
Yeah, maybe. As I spoke, my eyes were on Cinderella and Gretel as they ripped into the wizard. Not physically, yet. Mr. Wizard?
はい
Would you come with me? Instantly, all eyes widened and all jaws dropped in perfect sync. And so I led the wizard back to my bedroom.
いいんですか僕なんかと一緒にいて
I am your client, you know.
それはそうですが彼らがかわいそうですよ
Wizard's sympathy was always directed at them, not at me. I knew I was in the wrong, and I didn't expect him to take my side every time, but I really hate feeling judged. I paused for a moment. Are you uncomfortable being around me? I looked up at him coquettishly. What is coquettishly?
いいえ別に
Then what does it matter? I enjoy spending time with you. I sat down on the bed and smiled. I knew it wasn't playing fair, but if it would get him to my side, then to hell with the rules. He smiled dryly, like he had seen right through me. Meanwhile, I glanced around restlessly. Then I noticed something. Wait, what? I had left my chessboard was sitting on a coffee table, but the pieces had moved since the last time I touched it. So early in the round, when we played chess with someone else, it was with the wizard. I thought I recognized the voice. Did you move my chess pieces? I pointed over at the board.
君が眠っている間、暇だったので。
Oh, I didn't realize you knew how to play chess. I rose to my feet and walked over to get a better look at the board. White rooks were at g1 and e1, and a white knight at g3, a white pawn at f4, and the white king was at g8. I learned about this like a while back while I was still in the chess extracurricular, but I don't remember anything anymore. Black rooks were at g7 and h7. The black queen was at f6, a black knight was at g6, and a black pawn was at f5. Oh, this is a chess problem, isn't it? Chess problems, puzzles in which the goal is to achieve checkmate under preset conditions. I grabbed a white knight and captured a black rook. For what it's worth, I considered myself pretty good at chess. Then I spun around and beamed confidently. Wanna play a match with me? At my challenge, the wizard smirked deviously.
いいですよ。気分が悪くなっても知りませんが。
Oh, another one so fast. Oh, cute. We each set up our pieces, white for me and black for him.
6年前、似たような時期に、2人のご兄弟がそれぞれ別の人物に出会っている。赤ずきんさんは狼くん、漁師くんは白雪さんに。
As I spoke, the wizard moved his pieces. 6 years ago, Snow White would have been 13, and Red Riding Hood would have been 15, right? See, I was saying this, like, yeah, it is very common in DID. I'm sorry, I don't know if it's very common or not, but it is a thing in DID that the manifested altars can have very varying ages that does not have a really set, what is it called? A set order. So like the oldest one could be the youngest. It doesn't matter. Hearing this, it suddenly felt very weird that Snow White was the second son, despite being younger than Red. Yoshi was 23 at the time, and Wolfie is the same age as me, so he would have been 13 too. I moved my pieces as I spoke.
ずいぶん年が離れてるんですね。
Yeah, no kidding. That was something I had noticed too. Not the age gap between Roshi and Snow White, but the gap between Wolfie and Red. 2 years? The way they talked about their friendship, you'd think they were the same age. But, oh, I guess so. 13 and 15, I guess so. But Red was already old enough to be in high school by that point. And again, Wolfie was a chatty, sociable guy, so maybe the age difference didn't even register with him.
もう一つ重要なことを忘れていますよ。
Huh?
兄弟のお母様が亡くなられたのは6年前の春だ。
Oh. I looked up from the board. When our eyes met, the wizard smirked at me. A lot must have happened that year, huh? I averted my gaze bashfully. He adopted his usual pose, crossing his legs and resting his chin in his hand.
そうですね。何かあるのかもしれませんよ。
And one move later...
チェックメイト。
Whoa! The wizard declared loftily. I looked back at the board to find his queen checking my king. I lost?
言ったでしょ？気分が悪くなっても知りませんよ、と。僕、こう見えて得意なんです。チェス。
Sorry. Rematch! I demand a rematch! Just like that, he had provoked my competitive side.
そう言って勝つまでやるんでしょ？
Sounds like you know me well. Believe it or not, I am a sore loser.
知ってるよ。
He knows us. He absolutely knows us. I just need to know where. Why? Stunned, I blinked at him. He sighed.
いいですよ。君が満足するまで何度でも勝負しましょう。
Okay then.
ただし、今はダメです。君は命を狙われているんですから、まずはそれを解決してからにしましょう。
I slumped my shoulders. I couldn't argue with that. Alright then, in that case, I expect a rematch as soon as this case is solved.
ええ、もちろん。
With that settled, we wasted no time heading straight for Snow White's room. Today we wanted to discuss his mother. Snow White?
アリス、どうしたの？
Sorry to spring this on you, but could we ask about your mom? At this, Snow White scowled openly. No surprise there, of course. After all, asking Snow White about his mother meant dredging up his least favorite memories. Because of that, honestly, I expected him to stand there in silence or tell us to go away, but instead he reacted in a way I wasn't expecting. He looked from me to the wizard and let out a sigh.
何が聞きたいの？
I stared at him in shock for a moment before quickly recovering. Well, what was she like? He tilted his head slightly in contemplation.
明るくて、無邪気で、優しくて、いつまでも夢見る少女のような女性。
He sounds nice.
うん、とてもね。
He smiled. Then he looked deep into my eyes. What?
そういえば、少し君に似てたよ。
Not another fucking mom. Like, they like me because I remind them of someone. Ah, I hate these tropes. I do? He nodded.
容姿は全然似てないけど、なんとなく雰囲気が。
I get that.
きっと、出会っていたら、親子みたいに仲良くなれたんじゃないのかな。母様は、君みたいなお姫様が大好きだったからね。
I wasn't sure how to respond to this, so I fell silent. Then the wizard spoke up.
白雪さん、あなたは漁師くんとお知り合いのようですが。
And changed the subject.
そうだけど、それがどうしたの？
Snow White narrowed his eyes.
夜の湖で出会ったそうですね。あなたはそこで何をしていたんですか？
Yes, Snow White, we know. We unfortunately know.
別に、ただ湖を見ていただけさ。
He averted his gaze awkwardly.
鏡の国の湖は、まるで鏡のように全てを左右対称に映し出すことで有名でしたね。ご自分の姿を見て何を思っていたんでしょうか？
別に何でもいいだろ。
あなたはご自分の容姿が嫌いなようですが、それと何か関係が？
Yeah, you probably shouldn't ask something like that. Snow White pursed his lips together and glared at the wizard. All at once, this had taken a deeply uncomfortable turn, so I hastily cut in. Sorry for asking you all these nosy questions.
別に、君が謝る必要はないよ。
ええ、質問しているのは僕ですから。
Uh-huh. Sadly, I was unable to clear the heavy discomfort hanging in the air. The wizard relaxed his posture before letting his arms hang down at his side.
少し話を変えましょう。あなたのお母様がお亡くなりになられたのはいつですか？
Evidently, he had no intention of going easy on Snow White.
またその質問か。
すみません。この件に関していくつか不明な点がありまして。
I don't understand why we need this.
秘密に触れることがアリスのためになるの？
もちろん。
Upon hearing this, Snow White's hostile aura seemed to soften. Then he looked back at the wizard and reluctantly began to speak.
確か、3月も終わり頃だったよ。まだ寒かったからね。あの日、気づいたら俺は家の外にいた。母様に外に出てはいけないと、あれほど言われていたのに。家には明かりがついてい
I
て、
thought he was done.
母様が帰ってきたんじゃないかと思って、俺はドキドキしながら家の扉に手をかけた。母様は約束を破った俺のことを怒るのか、それとも心配してくれるのだろうか。でもそのどちらでもなかった。母様は冷たい目で俺を見下ろしていた。体に触るとすごく冷たくて、すぐに母様がいなくなってしまったことに気づいた。それでも大好きな母様がいなくなってしまったなんて信じたくなかった。もしかしたらいなくなってしまったのは俺の勘違いで、母様が帰ってくるかもしれない。そんなことを夢見て、冷たくなった母様としばらくの間過ごしていた。
Weeks, huh?
漁師くんと出会ったのは春でしたね。
ああ、そうだよ。漁師とは母様が死んだ後に出会った。
Wait, so his mom died late March? Or was it? Bruh. Yeah, late end of March. And Wolfie met Red Riding Hood around February to March. So I guess it was so wouldn't Red know that the mom is dead?
その頃、俺はいろいろと限界だったんだ。美しかった母様が日々醜くなっていく。過ぎた時は戻らない。そのことに耐えられなかった俺は家を飛び出した。
そして夜の湖で漁師くんと出会った。
He nodded quietly.
漁師はいい人だった。彼なら俺の話を信じてくれると思った。だから俺は彼に真実を打ち明けたんだ。
漁師くんと知り合いならなぜ会おうとしないんですか？
漁師も分かっていると思うけど。
Why?
多分その方がいいんだ。俺がこの辛い記憶を引き受けることで、
Oh.
他の誰かが楽になれるのならそれでいい。
So I guess if he goes to meet Roshi, that means he'll take charge, and therefore everyone will know the memories. I don't know how it works. Memories? But the wizard spoke over me.
美しい自己犠牲ですね。白雪さんのお話、大変参考になりました。ただ、またしても疑問が生まれてしまいました。なぜあなたのお母様は外に出てはいけないと言ったのでしょう。お母様は優しい人だったんですよね。なぜあなたを家に閉じ込めるようなことを。
多分最初のうちは単純に子供に留守番をさせるために言い聞かせていただけなんだ。でも
どんな風に？
冷たくなってしまった。体がじゃないよ。そうじゃなくて俺に対しての態度が冷たくなったんだ。それまでも仕事で忙しかったけど、それでも 毎日クタクタになって帰ってきても、俺を抱きしめてくれたので、だんだんと顔を合わせることが少なくなって、そのうち何もかも放置しておくようになっ
Poor Snow White.
た。ひどく疲れているようだった。最初は仕事が忙しいのかと思ったけど、それだけじゃない。鏡を見てわかった。俺は母様の本当の子供じゃないんだ。
Because it's Alice, right? Next, we paid a visit to Red Riding Hood. All that chess plus talking to Snow White had already eaten up a surprising amount of time. Overhead, the sky was already orange. Red?
どうしました？
Sorry to drop in on you. Could we ask you something? Red looked at me with concern, possibly still worried about my health.
いいですよ。何でも聞いてください。
In your opinion, what was your mother like? Taking Snow White's reaction into consideration, I decided to just be straight with him.
それは、どうしても答えなければならないのでしょうか。
Like Snow White, Red Riding Hood was reluctant, though not to the same extent.
アリス城のためです。
Wizard shrugged.
ミス・アリスの。
He looked from me to the wizard and back. While Snow White and Red Riding Hood didn't seem to have much in common, at times like these you could totally tell they were related.
実は、母のことはよく覚えていません。
What?
母は、あまり家に帰ってきませんでしたから。強いて言うなら、子供をほったらかし、自分の都合を優先するような冷たい人という印象です。
His opinion of her was the total opposite of Snow White's.
自分の都合とは？
仕事です。母は花売りの仕事で忙しいようでしたから。
She did say that she sells flowers. I remember this. But Snow White said... I started to argue, but the wizard held up a hand to stop me.
つまり、お母様はいつも家にはいなかったと。
はい。私にとって母は遠い存在で、ほとんど姿を見ない人のことを母と言われても、自分の母だという実感が湧きませんでした。私には母に優しくされた記憶も、怒られた記憶もありません。
なるほど。
The wizard folded his arms and nodded to himself.
少し話は変わりますが、あなたは狼くんと仲のいい幼馴染だとお聞きしましたが。
え？ああ、はい。
He stammered, caught off guard by the question.
あなたは昼間の湖に一人でいたところを狼くんに声をかけられた。
Nevertheless, the wizard pressed on.
はい。
なぜ昼間の湖にいたんですか？普通なら学校に通っていますよね。
それは、母が行かなくてもいいと。
それはどうしてですか？
Red froze, conflicted. I looked at the wizard, wondering if it was safe to keep asking questions, but he simply pressed his index finger to his lips reassuringly. Sure enough, Red slowly regained his composure and began to speak.
母は私に言いました。あなたは他の子と違って、とってもいい子だから、外で遊んではダメだと。周りのみんなは狼で、狼はどんな悪いことをするかわからないから、話しかけられても知らん顔をしていなさい。お母さんがいない間、ちゃんとお留守番してるのよ。もし、誰かがこの家にやってきても、決して中に入れてはいけません。
でも、あなたは外に憧れていた。
そうです。
あなたは、 お母様に外に出ないよう言いつけられていたのにもかかわらず、それを破ってしまった。
はい。
Red slumped his shoulders like a criminal caught red-handed.
別にあなたを責めるつもりはありません。あなたが外に憧れるのは当然のことだと思います。普通なら、あなたは学校に通い、友達を作り、外で遊んだでしょうから。ちなみに、赤ずきんさんは、お母様が亡くなった時のことをご存知ですか？
At this, Red looked up suddenly in alarm.
それは、
Then he hung his head once more. His riding hood concealed his expression.
あの日、私はいつものように、狼と湖の近くで遊んでいました。
I don't think we noticed
そんな
info.
時、一人の漁師風の男が慌てた様子で声をかけてきました。男が言うには、狼のおばあさんが
I
倒れ
remember
て
this.
孫の名前を呼んでいるとのことでした。おばあさんのことが大好きだった私は、自分が狼だと嘘をついておばあさんのお見舞いに行きました。その後のことはよく覚えていません。おばあさんがあの後どうなったのか、病院からどうやって帰ってきたのか。ただ気がつくと家の前にいました。その日は珍しく家の明かりがついていました。母が帰ってきたのでしょうか。私はドキドキしながら家の扉に手をかけました。
Same as Snow White's.
果たして母は私のことを怒るでしょうか。それとも心配してくれるでしょうか。
This is exactly the same script as Snow White's. Can I just... Where's my mouse? Nervously, I put my hand on the doorknob. Nervously, I put my hands on the doorknob. And then... I wasn't sure whether she would be mad at me or just worried for my safety. It's literally the same thing. Interesting. How fascinating. Alright.
家の扉を開けて私は確信しました。母は私を怒ることもしなければ、優しく抱きしめてくれることもないのだと。母は冷たい目で私を見下ろしていました。
This is also the same thing.
その日以来、母は二度と家に帰ってくることはありませんでした。
つまり、その時点であなたのお母様は死んでしまっていたと。
わかりません。
なぜわからないんですか？
覚えていないんです。気がつくと母はいなくなっていて、私はそれから二度と道草をしないと心に誓いました。でもそれも
He lifted his head and shot a glance in my direction. I didn't know how to react, so I smiled at him out of habit.
わかりました。赤ずきんさんのおかげでさらに真実に近づきました。
そうですか。それは良かったです。
He pulled his hood low over his eyes.
最後にもう一つ質問しても？
どうぞ。
あなたのお母様はなぜあなたを外に出したがらなかったのでしょう？
それは私の容姿が他と違うからです。
他と違う？
But Red didn't explain further. So the wizard and I went back to my room to review what we had learned. To Snow White, their mother was very kind, but to Red, she was emotionally distant. Strange, isn't it? How can their opinion be polar opposites?
ですが、白雪さん曰く、お母様の印象は ある日を境にガラリと変わってしまったようです。そのガラリと変わってしまったお母様と赤ずきんさんが言っているお母様の印象は似ているようですが、どうしてでしょう。それに、白雪さんが言っていた自分はお母様の子供じゃないという発言も気になりますね。赤ずきんさんの容姿が他と違うからというセリフも引っかかります。アリス嬢？
Next thing I knew, the wizard was peering into my face.
僕の話聞いてます？
Of course I am. I'm just thinking at the same time, that's all.
器用な人だ。
He grinned. Yeah, I get that a lot. I grinned back. Once he made sure I was paying attention, the wizard sat down on the chair by the window and crossed his legs.
で、何を考えていたんです？
The answers to your questions and the answers to mine.
答えは見つかりましたか？
I've got a few hypotheses, but nothing more than that.
つまり、よくわからないと。
Yeah. But just as I was about to fall back into thought,
とりあえず、もう一人お母様の記憶を持つ人を訪ねてみませんか？
in other words, Cinderella. I don't remember anything Cinderella said about his mom.
母さんね。優しくて、綺麗な人だったよ。俺と同じで、キラキラとしたものが好きでさ。
As the oldest son, Cinderella would arguably remember their mother the best.
お母様に関しての印象は、途中で変わったりしませんでしたか？
The wizard wasted no time cutting to the chase. Naturally, this confused Cinderella, seeing as he wasn't privy to the other conversations we'd had.
すみません。白雪さんからいろいろと伺いました。
At this, Cinderella seemed to put two and two together.
そっか。
He let out a sigh.
確かに、母さんは変わったよ。父さんがいなくなって、森の中の小さな家で暮らし始めてからだ。最初は、やけに過保護になったなと思った。
Oh, he's also staying at home
家
inside
を
all
出
the
ちゃいけ
time.
ないとかなんとか言って。
あなたは、その約束を守りましたか？
いや、
He smiled bitterly.
だからなのかもな。ある日突然、急に冷たく当たるようになった。異物を見るような目っていうのかな。なんだか、俺のことを怖がっているように見えた。でも、それも仕方ないことだなと思った。母さんは慣れない仕事をいっぱいして、その上、借金取りにも追われてたんだ。誰も助けてくれる人はいない。そんな中、あの人は一人で頑張ってたんだ。疲れてたんだよ。
Poor baby. His tone wasn't hostile or resentful, but sympathetic. This contrasted with the older brother's reactions.
シンデレラさんは、お母様のことが好きだったんですね。
まあな。俺たちを捨てた父さんのことだって
That's insane.
別に恨んじゃねえよ。
Smiling, he looked away.
きっと二人ともほんの少し心が弱かっただけなんだ。嫌なことから逃げ出したいって気持ちは俺もよくわかるからな。
Oh, right, because in his route, he was just running away all the time. After we finished talking to Cinderella, it was time for dinner. After the awkward conversations we'd had, Cinderella and Red Riding Hood, Snow was absent, as usual, were eerily quiet, so we ate our cream stew in uncomfortable silence. Then, when they were done, they hurried back to their rooms as if to avoid being around us. Kaguya and Gretel didn't comment on this, but they had clearly picked up on it. Once they finished eating, they left the room too. They were so protective with us earlier? How come now they're just letting us be with what's his name? With the wizard now. I don't get it. Just like that, the wizard and I were the only ones left.
つまり、皆さんの記憶をつなげると、こういうことでしょうか。昔々、お金持ちだった彼らの家は、お父様が事業に失敗し、借金だらけになってしまった。
Also, they're really making it obvious that despite the brothers, there's 5 brothers, but Kaguya and Gretel don't remember their parents at all. Like, they're really making it obvious that there's something going on. Like, I really think it's just the DID. Like, they're not even hiding it, more like. So it's not even the big twist of the game, I think, which is so interesting.
お父様は家族を残して、海外に高飛びしてしまった。
Bonjour, Bere. Bonjour, Anli. You went live yesterday at like my EP time. How could you? Do you not want me to come and say hi? The song reminds me of that One Silent Hill song. Which one?
残されたお母様は借金返済のために朝も夜もなく必死に働いた。お母様はとても優しい人だった。しかし、ある時を境に人が変わったように彼らに冷たく接するようになった。
Oh, DM me, Unli. Links don't work. Sorry.
ここまではシンデレラさんと白雪さんの共通認識ですね。そして、ここからは赤ずきんさんの視点が入ります。赤ずきんさんにとって、お母様はあまり家に帰ってこない冷たい人という印象だった。赤ずきんさんは家の中に閉じ込められることに嫌気がさし、お母様の言いつけを破ってしまった。
I made it for the wizard, lol. I might end soon though. I'm getting really sleepy. I didn't get enough sleep yesterday, so I don't think I'll be playing for very much. But it's mostly just like recaps on the Red Riding Hood, Snow White, and Cinderella's routes. So you didn't miss very much. And I think tomorrow I'm gonna make like a long day of just playing Taisho X Alice. Yeah.
昼間の湖で赤ずきんさんは狼くんと出会った。二人はすぐに仲良くなり、毎日遊ぶようになった。そんなある日、いつものように外で遊んでから家に帰ると、本当に冷たくなってしまったお母様がいた。ここから視点は白雪さんに切り替わります。愛するお母様の死を目の当たりにした白雪さんは、しばらくの間、愛するお母様の死を受け入れられず、誰にも相談できず、お母様の死体と過ごしていた。
I see. Yay! Thank you for coming, Night of Beauty. Welcome, by the way.
でも、それもすぐに限界を迎えた。
Ooh, the Silent Hill song is really pretty, Anli. I like it a lot, actually. Ooh.
日々腐っていく愛する人に耐えられなくなった彼は、家を飛び出し、夜の湖で漁師くんと出会った。その後、白雪くんは漁師くんにすべての真実を打ち明け、
It doesn't sound alike at all, by the way.
ここまででしょうか。
I kept my expression neutral as I looked at him. I have excellent taste. To be fair, most horror games have really good songs. Maybe I just like scary songs. Or like haunting songs. But yeah, most horror games have great songs. Then he continued.
いやー、悲劇の物語ですね。ご兄弟は全員、なかなかの苦労人だ。しかし、こうなると、両親の記憶がない二人が気になりますね。かぐやさんは親戚にたらい回しにされたそうですね。両親がいたのに、どうしてでしょうか。あとは、白雪さんが言った本当の子供じゃないというセリフ。あれはどういう意味なんでしょう。
Wizard sounds like a detective? Yes, so in this route, the wizard is a private detective that we hired because we got a blackmail letter saying someone's going to kill us if we don't choose one of the brothers to date. Yeah. So right now he's like a private investigator and he's trying to find out who sent it and to protect us. Piece by piece, he laid out all the information for me. But I think we're flirting with him a lot. Like, we already have 5 fiancés, and right now we're flirting with him. So there's that. I forgot, lol. It's okay. There's a lot of info dump in this. But he was the detective, not me. Plus, something in his tone felt almost melodramatic, like he was testing me, and I wasn't enjoying it. Mr. Wizard? Don't you think maybe we should give it a rest?
おや、途中まで乗り気だったのに、どうしたんです？
Plot twist, he was the actual sender of it because he couldn't approach you otherwise. That would be funny, only except that already happened in another route. That's already the plot twist of another route. You're basic. He's too ugly to be dated? No, he's so handsome. What do you mean? My first reaction was to get mad at him, but I quickly thought better of it. I wasn't being dragged along against my will. I was the one who suggested we team up in the first place. I'm just starting to get scared.
なぜ怖がるんです？
It feels like if we go any further, they'll get hurt.
彼らではなく、自分がでしょ？
He shots back coldly. Why coldly?
彼らを傷つけるのではなく、彼らはすでに傷ついているんですよ。前に言いましたよね。僕は彼らの痛みを、苦しみを正しく知ることで、次の一手を打つための手段を講じているんです。そして、彼らを救うのが君の役目だ。
What? But I'm the one in danger.
そうですね。でも猶予がある。
Do you know something I don't?
さあ、何でしょう。
He shrugged and grinned. Interesting, so he knows more than he lets on. To me, it felt like he was trying to provoke me on purpose. But why? Instead of beating around the bush, how about I take a stab at what you're really saying? You want me to choose?
そうです。
Not attractive? Blasphemy! Wizard is a Chad! Wizard is an absolute Chad! He's an ass, confirmed. No, he's not. Like, there are far worse men in this game than the wizard. I love him. He's so pretty. I wouldn't say I'm attracted to him, but he's very handsome. Have you ever been in love before?
ありますよ。
Oh! Have you ever been in love with multiple people at the same time?
いや。僕の好きな人は、たった一人です。
Who? For some reason, hearing this admission felt like I'd won. I smirked. And I guess you'll never understand how I feel. To me, the thought of choosing just one person is agony. I dreamed of you again last night. At one point, it looked like the darkness was going to consume me, but in the end, it wasn't strong enough. Conversely, I was now more powerful than the darkness. A lonely path only I could travel. But because I was alone, I was unshackled and free. And because I was free, no one could tie me down. Held a message for a reason, sex-based terms. Only bad boy. Noted Fera likes assholes with a stick up their asses and who can't even wear neat clothes properly. What do you mean? He wears his neat clothes very nicely. What do you mean? He looks very nice. Too neat. I like my men messy. I spent my life in solitude. See? This is altars for sure. Wait, I missed it. There were I spent my life in a lonely path only I could travel, but because I was alone, I was unshackled and free. And because I was free, no one could tie me down. I said earlier that this is Alice, but maybe it's not Alice. I spent my life in solitude. There were 4 other people here in the dark abyss, but they were all fragile, flawed creatures who were aggravating to be around. 4. So... 4? Huh. Why were they all so indecisive over the most inconsequential trifles? I knew what had happened to them, but I felt no sympathy for them, and I didn't try to fit in. Did I feel this way because I lacked flaws? I knew I was supposed to lead them, but personally, I had a different view of the situation. To me, if they were so annoying to deal with, then the solution was to eradicate them. But no one was able to do so, and thus the responsibility had been dumped on me. If I killed them, no one would hold me accountable. After all, no one would miss them. But one day, that changed. I was always alone, looking at the mirror. In the looking glass world, the perspective was always shifting, but I never took an interest in anything. I never got attached. Eventually, I got sick of looking at the mirror and started thinking I'd be better off if I disappeared. Within my fixed field of vision, I could see a chessboard on the table. The wizard? Eh? I knew the rules of the game, but I had never played against another person. Then one day, she called out to me from the other side of the mirror. Nice to meet you, my name is... She started to introduce herself, then stopped. Well, you probably already know. In the mirror, she smiled as if she could see right through me. I know all about you. Would you tell me your name? I ignored her. But then she showed up the next day and called out to me again. My brother told me you know the whole story. But no one knows about you, huh? They all think you disappeared. Or maybe they think you never existed to begin with. Okay, so it's definitely not Alice, eh? Is the wizard part of the altar? But he lived way over there. I'm so confused, eh? Even though you're literally right here. I'm the only one who knows about you. Can you hear me? Where are you? Even I didn't know the answer to that. She showed up again the next day and the day after that. Are you getting sick of me, Anne? Trust me, I know I'm being annoying. But that's just who I am, and if I was anyone else, I wouldn't be here right now. You see, there's this person I love who I love very much. She started talking about herself entirely unprompted. Typical Yurika. He told me he loves me too. I didn't love myself, but that didn't matter to him. Alice? He said to me,
僕は好きだよ。君の宝石のような目も、ふわふわとした柔らかな髪も、全部、君が君である証だ。
This is what Snow White said in his shroud. I remember this. I already knew about that. Maybe no one else could remember it, but I could, and I'd surely never forget. So the one talking right now is not the wizard? But then why did the wizard have a confession to us? I'm so confused! You know who that person was?
僕はここにいるよ。
Oh, it is him. So he is an altar. I answered on reflex. So he is an altar! Then wouldn't he know who sent the letter unless it was him? I awoke in the middle of the night from an anxiety attack and left my room. After a great deal of deliberation and hesitation, I chose a door to knock on.
はいはい。
You?
たく、誰ですか？人が気持ちよく寝てるときに。
From all the people we could choose to go to when we have a nightmare, we choose him? I'd get more nightmares, bruh.
で、姉さん。
Sorry to bother you so late at night. Can I sleep in your room? Gretel stared back in wide-eyed surprise at my sudden request. Then his lips curled into a half smile.
姉さんは甘えん坊だな。どうなっても知りませんよ。
And so he welcomed me in. Thanks. What the fuck? Yeah. This is not a bed. Are you okay? This is what bed? Am I sleeping on the frying pan? On the counter? Where am I sleeping? What is this? He let me borrow half of his bed. What bed? Then he lay down facing me and spoke to me like he was reassuring a child after a nightmare.
で、どうしたんですか？一緒に寝ようというなんて初めてですよね。
Had a dream.
悪夢ですか？
No, it was really nostalgic. It was about before I came to live in this little town. And after I started living with all of you. Okay. Before she came to live in the town, so 1.5 years ago. And after... but she started living with them after she came to town. What? I confused. Brain ouchie. In the kitchens is scandalous. I guess they like doing it outside. Hey, Gretel? Are you happy with the way things are right now?
幸せですよ。大好きな姉さんと一緒の布団で寝てるんです。これ以上の幸福がどこにあると？
Okay, if it's a futon, I can kind of think of it, because futon is like a rolled up bed you place on the floor, so I can kind of see it. He snickered at me like the question was silly. Be honest. His smile faded, and he looked back at me intently. Then he broke eye contact with me.
幸せじゃない。ここに来たということは、僕を選んだのかなと思いましたが、違うんですよね。
I'm sorry, but you're like the last person I'll choose. No. He let out an exaggerated sigh.
姉さんはひどい人だ。今がどういう状況か分かっていてやるんですから、たちが悪い。
His bitter tone echoed through the darkened room. I'm sorry.
そう言って、僕があなたを許すと思うんですか？
Please don't grab my skirt again. Yeah, I've got you wrapped around my finger.
ああ、もう、これだから姉さんは。
Defeated, he rolled over onto his back.
姉さん。
Oh my god.
僕は姉さんのことが好きです。
Ah, the route flashbacks. I am grimacing really hard. I know. And I'm in love with you too.
姉さん、僕を選んでください。僕を選べば、姉さんは死なずに済む。って兄さんたちも思っていますよ。
Yeah,
姉さんはみんなのことが好きなんですね。
I do.
まったく。なんでこんな逆派志向の女の人を好きになんてなったんだろう。僕も、兄さんたちも。
Okay, but like, if you and your whole entourage of brothers want to fall in love, then the best way to do it is to someone unmonogamous, no? That way nobody ends up getting hurt. He let out a self-deprecating laugh. Then he rolled back over and flicked my forehead. Ow! Reflexively, I squeezed my eyes shut, plunging myself into pure darkness. When I timidly opened them again, I found Gretel pouting at me.
姉さんが魅力的だから悪いんですよ。あなたは、僕たちの求めるものをくれる。あなたみたいな人と一緒に暮らして、好きにならない理由なんてない。でも、姉さんを5等分にすることなんてできない。
Right.
それに、僕たちは平等に愛してほしいなんて思わない。
Yeah.
姉さん、僕は僕だけを見て、
I'm going
僕だけ
insane.
を愛してほしいんです。みんな、心の底では、姉さんに選ばれたがっていますよ。僕も、姉さんに選ばれたい。僕を選んでくれれば、何だってします。優秀な姉さんと釣り合いが取れるように、勉強もスポーツも頑張ります。そこを態度だって気をつけます。
He worked on his attitude too.
姉さんが僕だけのものになってくれれば、きっと毎日はハッピーだ。でも、僕が姉さんと結ばれたら、他の人たちはどうなってしまうんでしょうね。時々、そんなことを考えるんです。同じ屋根の下で暮らしてる兄弟だからでしょうか。もし姉さんが僕以外の誰かを選んだとしたら、僕は嫉妬で狂いそうになります。
I know. Your whole route, babe.
苦しくて、苦しくて、どうしようもなく悲しい。だから、僕を選んでくれない姉さんにイラつきはしますが、仕方のないことだと思っています。僕は、あの人たちのことが好きです。
Do you?
そりゃあ、くっそうざいですし、ムカつくなんてことはザラにありますけど、それでも、嫌いにはなれません。
I'm having terrible flashback about this. Like, I get that they're trying to portray him in like a really good light right now, but all I'm getting is like flashbacks to his route. I can't take it. Bro, you got more than an attitude to work on. He needs a whole personality change. Lobotomy, maybe. Aw, Gretel whoops his big boy. His smile dropped. Ow! He karate chopped me on the head. Geez, don't hit me. You're such a jerk. I gave him a reproachful look. Then I saw his eyes glittering in the darkness and drew in a breath.
僕は、姉さんに選ばれたい。
He said that like 4 times. I get it!
でも、
I get it!
選ぶのは姉さんです。多分、それが一番フェアなんだと思います。一人の女性を複数の男性が同時に愛してしまった物語としては。
Then he donned an impish grin.
とりあえず、今日のところは、姉さんが僕を選んでくれたっていうことで、許してあげますよ。寛大な弟に感謝してください。
Right. Thanks, Gretel. So I guess it's less of the wizard's route and more of like everyone's route, no? The next morning when I awoke, I let Gretel sleep in and headed off to the living room where I found the wizard relaxing on the sofa. Good morning.
おはようございます。昨日はゆっくり寝られましたか？
Fairly well, yeah. As I passed him, I grabbed my apron from the shelf nearby. But instead of putting it on, I twiddled my fingers and attempted to compose myself. Have you figured out who sent me the blackmail letter?
いいえ、まったく。
I am beginning to think it's him. I see.
アリス嬢こそ、誰か一人を選ばないんですか？
Once again, he brought up the same subject from yesterday because he keeps insisting on it. And it's weird because he's like a third party, but not really because now I'm convinced he's also an alter. So he's just like a hidden alter who somehow wants her to choose a brother for some reason. Choose me, choose me, choose me! But also Gretel, but up to you. Yeah, pretty much. Like, just in case you didn't know, I want you to choose me. But you know, you can do whatever you want. But choose me! 3 days had now passed since he first arrived at our house. Only 2 days remained until the full moon. I closed my eyes and thought it over carefully. Who should I prioritize and what should I do to help them? The answer I found was... Whoa! I think this is a good place to end it actually. But game? No. Because I'm EP, right? So I'm thinking of getting a nap. So tomorrow I can play lots. Yeah, apparently we're not supposed to choose anyone. So yeah. I will be picking this back up tomorrow. And we'll be playing it all day. At my usual time, which is like 11 a.m. GMT plus 7. And I'll be playing it all day. So yeah, I'll have to change my scheduling on Twitch. And I'll schedule it on YouTube as well. But yeah, thank you so much everyone for watching. I had a great time, especially at the end. I was like getting kind of bored because all they did was just like recapping the whole routes of the others. But it's definitely picking back up again. I definitely think it's the wizard, right? But the thing is, in Red Riding Hood's route, someone also sent us a blackmail letter. And it was Red who did it, as well as someone else. I think Wolfie? I don't remember. So that's the thing. So we already have that plot twist being used in another route. So it's just a little weird if they used it again. No? It's too easy. But yeah, I'm excited for tomorrow. I will make sure I get lots of sleep so we can play lots tomorrow. Yeah. Alright then, let's do it. Thank you for coming and for talking to me especially. I had fun. See you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.